Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember I share and subscribe. Join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones, and today's episode is coming to you live. We are in studio today, so if you guys have any questions throughout today's show, throw them in the comments section, and we'll actually answer them because we're not pre-recorded. That's right, we are live today. So, coming up, guys, the Caps team is coming to you. We got some more great events lined up for the rest of the year here, starting off with CryptidCon in Lexington, Kentucky. We are going to be down there November 23rd and 24th for this event. It's a huge event. If you're in the area, come on out and check it out. They have a huge list of people. Check out all the great names there. Everything from UFOs to paranormal to Bigfoot's going to be at the show this year. So it's going to be an awesome time. Thomas Winterton from Skinwalker Ranch, Giorgio Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens, Cliff Barrickman, Russell Accord, Maria Mayer, Renee Holland, just to name a few, Jessica Chobit. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a great time. So if you guys are coming down, head on over to that and we will see you out there. And then we head back up to Wisconsin for the Soul and Synergies Metapara Pro event. It's going to be in Fond du Lac November 30th. And then the next day we are going to be in Milwaukee for Krampus Fest December 1st in the Milwaukee Brewery District. You can find all this and more on our website, wisconsincaps.com. Click on the public events tab. And right now, guys, we are excited to announce our event coming up next year as well. May 9th, 10th, and 11th, we are doing the Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention. And we have pre-sale tickets available now. They are $30 in advance or $40 at the door. And we are giving away before Christmas here. We are giving away a little set of these brick creatures We have Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, and Bigfoot. If you purchase your advance tickets for May 10th before December 16th, we will choose one of the people that purchase tickets, and we will send you a set of the 3 of those from Northwoods Bricks, which is one of our sponsors. So if you guys are interested in coming out, get your advance tickets, save $10, and be entered to win a Mothman, Flatwoods Monster, and Bigfoot. If you cannot make it out in person to Wisconsin, you can also purchase a virtual ticket for just $5, and we will be live streaming the entire convention so that you can watch all of our speakers and presenters throughout the day. You don't get to shop our amazing vendors, but you will still get to see all the cool speakers that we have for this event. You can find all that at wisconsincaps.com. Click on CapCon. All right, guys, and if you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, just a reminder, we are live in studio today. So if you have any questions or comments for our guest or myself throughout the show, throw them in the comments section. We'll get to them as soon as we can. Joining the show today is a guy who, if you have watched my other show, Paranormal Spectrum, he was just on there a couple of weeks ago, and he is here with us now to talk about Bigfoot. Carter Buschardt joins the show today. He has been an investigator with the BFRO for the last 13 years, originally from Texas and currently lives in Missouri. He has had nearly 100 reports published on the BFRO website and has interviewed over 400 witnesses and counting. He is an experienced outdoorsman and trained as an investigator for MUFON. He has studied herpetology in college. He's a longtime special interest in Sasquatch long-term habituation sites, burial research, infrasound, language, and stick structures. He is a true boots-on-the-ground researcher, investigator, and not a desktop warrior. He has met and visited the properties of nearly half of the witnesses whose reports have been published. He monitors and visits several properties with ongoing habituation activity to this day. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the show, Carter Buschardt.
Well, that sounds like a pretty cool guy. God,
He does. Wow.
God dang. How's it going, Barnaby? Good to see you again, man.
I'm doing awesome. Good to have you here on my other show now. Oh,
Yeah. My side gig is being a smart ass. So
yeah. Oh, that's good. Hey, you gotta do what you're good at.
yeah, just rate me after the show's over. Tell me.
Sounds good. Yeah. Send me the little survey. We'll give you the 5 stars. Yeah. Awesome, man. You have got a lot of stories and a lot of stuff. So I want to delve right into this stuff, man. We started out this, and when I was going back to we had you on my other show, Paranormal Spectrum, to talk about your UFO book. I bring that up real quick, and we can mention that real fast here. So if you're interested in the other book that you had out, you can listen to a whole episode on this. You want to give like a 2-second synopsis of it?
Yeah, Baptized by Abduction. It's a true story. It's not fiction. There's no fiction in any of my books, but this happened to me starting at the age of 8 or 9. I'm 73 now. I didn't find out until 22 years ago. I didn't know anything about this. I found out by accident. And so that's it. I went with my wife and another couple to get hypnotized to see if we had past lives, just a curiosity thing. And I went last, and what happened is totally bizarre. But anyway, that's it. But it's a true story. It's been going on apparently as recently as 2022 here at our house.
Wow.
Not sure about that one.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're interested in more on that, go check it out. But we're going to talk Sasquatch today.
Yep.
So Paranormal Spectrum. Go look up Carter Buschardt on my other show, and you can hear all about the book and all these experiences. But awesome. But you have several other books here as well. You're quite the established author. Want to tell us a little bit about these guys?
Well, this one I added.
Oh, hang on. Sasquatch Habituations. There you go.
Which is basically the greatest hits of all these others and some new reports. My people just keep calling with like, oh, I got to tell you this, you know, and so it constantly is updating. You know, at some point you just kind of stop for a while, but you know, so that's it. But yeah, I started doing reports for BFRO, and people were telling me things, but they weren't telling me everything. I could just tell, and I said, well, I got some other things. And what they were doing was feeling me out to see if I was going to be one of these people that's going to ridicule them and mock them, which many researchers, even some podcast hosts do. They just go, well, why do you know, I don't question, you know, I do vet them and I make sure they're not yanking my chain. I have ways of doing that, you know, by the interview process, you can just tell. And I get to know these people, you know, they're looking me in the eye, and I've been there to their properties, and it's just like, they're shocked. They didn't know what to do at first. And now they're just in this fascinating relationship, I call it relationship, with these beings living on their property. And, you know, it's just one of these deals where, you know, they finally warmed up to me and realized I wasn't one of the other guys that was just going to laugh at them. So they started calling me with all this kind of bizarre paranormal quantum type things that are happening. And I, you know, when I led my first expedition for BFRO, I saw one just poof vanish in front of me at night when I was on my thermal, and that changed everything for me. And I could not support the ape only thesis, the theory. You know, I couldn't support that any longer because they're doing things that a dumb ape can't do, you know. And so, yeah, and many people will see this and go, I don't know about that. But there are many more will go, I got you. I saw one. You know? And so that's how I kind of got into doing the fourth one, was just kind of wrap everything up. Now I'm starting to get more stuff. I'm not sure I'm going to write another one or not, but you know, 5 books in 4 years is kind of tedious, you know, but I did it.
And they're not small books.
No, they make good doorstops too.
You were kind enough to send me this one here, and it's not a thin book by any means. No, it is.
No, that was about 300 something.
Yeah, 270, 280.
The latest one is 366. That's the doorstop.
Yeah, they're nice books.
No, I take that back. 335. I took a chapter out of there.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. Once you get going, though, I mean, it's kind of
a lot of pictures, color pictures, and
yeah. No, I did the good paper, and you know, I'm self-published. You know, you can buy my stuff on Kindle, but I don't sell my books through Amazon because they just want too much money for them, especially the color stuff. So I sell that, but people that are on a budget, and I get it, and don't like books necessarily, but they like the Kindle. So
very cool. So one of the things that you talk about in your bio is Bigfoot burials. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. You know, anytime you go out and talk in public or even mention Bigfoot, the first thing that people go is, well, where are the bodies?
Yeah.
It bothers me so much. It really does. You know, it just on a flesh and blood animal level, you know, like any animal that dies in the woods is gone within a matter of like a week, you know, between just natural causes and goes off and hides and so on and so forth. But you've done some work on this and research into it. So what are your thoughts on what happens to the Bigfoot?
Well, you know, of course, I believe they are multi-dimensional, and I don't know if that comes at a certain age or stage of development, if you have to reach certain goals in the Sasquatch community or just reach certain levels of meditation and, you know, mental powers that allows you to do. So some may die in another place, but, you know, the ones that die here, you know, I've heard several stories of Sasquatch that have been buried, and they are moving boulders the size of Volkswagens after they dig a hole, and then they roll that on top of. Who's going to find that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're never going to find that. They know where they're at. That's just one story I've heard, but I've heard others that are similar to that, where they do take them. Somebody up in Washington State, a guy went in. He had a deal with the Forestry Service to go in and harvest trees that had fallen or died naturally. Not cut them down, but he could go in and take any of the big redwoods. He paid a certain fee, I guess, but he could go in and take redwoods that had fallen and weren't cut, but had just fallen, died, whatever. Well, and this was on YouTube for about 10 minutes, and I couldn't find it again. But this guy cut down a tree, and long story short, he found about a 10, 11 foot tall skeleton with dried leathery skin that had just shrunk all around it inside the tree. So if you talk to Native Americans and the indigenous peoples up in Canada, they will say that many times Sasquatch go into the trees to die because they go back to being one with nature. So what do you do with that? See, if you don't know that that's false, it used to be like, well, that's all baloney. I'm not going to believe that, but after a certain time, you start hearing these from other sources, people that you know and respect, or people that you talk to that you know and respect, who know these people, and they go, he's just as right as rain. He's just, down to earth, and like all my people, they're God-fearing, rural people living. I mean, they're not the type, they don't want any publicity, But back to your question, if they do go into the trees, I have a lady in Washington State who has them coming out of the trees into her house at night with holding babies and holding some of the teddy bears that she gifts them on her gifting area. Now, she's not loony. Everybody else thinks she is, but she's not. I mean, she's like very methodical and takes notes, and she sent me videos that she's probably spent a couple $100 on photos and CDs and, SD cards and all that, sending me stuff, 8x10 colors of things, which I can't show. But it's like, she's not nuts. If you just can't wrap your head around some of the activity, well, then you can't, But that's why you have the show like this, because people are going, that's cool. There's something. Most people that watch these shows, they know there's something going on. When you get into the the paranormal and quantum type stuff, metaphysical, some people just go, I believe this, but I won't believe that. And that's the problem her husband has. He's been there and he's seen them disappear. He believed they did not exist for the longest time until he finally saw one. But then he was with her one night and he saw one and he saw it disappear. He goes, I ain't buying that. I believe they exist, but they can't do that. Come on, pal. I mean, you just saw it. You're not drunk. You're not stoned. You're perfectly well-rounded individual. What do you make of that? Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, how did you just see that if it's not real? How did she see it? She didn't do it. She's sitting there with you. She's been telling you about this for years, and you haven't believed it. So there's all kinds of ways, that people come to terms with the being's existence, period. And then they come to a further realization that there might be something else that may not be in your wavelength right now, So here's a story that's mimics what I'm saying. And
hang on, before we get to that, let's delve a little bit into this, because we do have a question on that first. So he wanted to know, Sunshine Steve here wants to know, are the redwoods in Washington State or California, or where was the tree?
Washington.
Okay. And then
Well, take that back. It may have been right across the border in Canada, but it was right up near that border, and it was actually more like over where BC is, British Columbia, over that area. But it's up that channel there.
And then I was going to make a point too, as well, that, if you look into the Fae mythology, we were talking a little bit about Fae and stuff before the show on that, but if you look into Fae mythology, you have the dryads, which are these creatures that basically live in trees. They're not live in trees like a squirrel, but live in the essence of the trunk and stuff. And if your tree gets cut down, the dryad dies. And we hear a lot of things about the Bigfoot being the guardians of the forest, and that they're part of the Fae realm and stuff as well. So
yeah,
I don't know, throwing that out there. But.
Yeah, you just I've had an open mind for as long as I could possibly have one. And when you just keep seeing things, so I was abducted when I was 8 years old, aliens, and so that opens up a whole lot of ideas, and that may have been why, in a roundabout way, I got into Sasquatch research, because I've been questioning what's going on in the world, what exists, what doesn't, what they say exists, what they say doesn't. I've just been questioning that stuff forever, So, well, let me tell you the story about the burial. Now, this is really cute. So I've got some folks live southeast Missouri, about halfway down the state. And I've been to the property multiple times. They're in my books. And they see them all the time. But anyway, this has specifically to do with burial. And this shows a mindset. So their mother was moved onto their property into a trailer because they had to take care of her, but she couldn't be where she was. So her husband had lived in this trailer, and they were separated because of illnesses. One was in a different care facility, and they couldn't get out to see each other, because of their health. Anyway, so she moved, when he passed away, she moved into the trailer that was on the property. And like I say, I've been there many, many times. So she had this old dog, big fat old dog, couldn't hardly move. It was near death. It was on death's door, but it was an old dog, and he died before I met them. But anyway, Grandma went out and walked the dog every night. Walked it up to a certain part along the fence and did its business and came back. Well, one night she's out walking the dog, and I don't know if you live in a rural area, but if you live in a rural area, packs of dogs are not unusual. Just raiding garbage cans, and if they're out in rural areas, people throw their trash out or burn it, and they, anyway, they're around. So this pack of dogs, 4 or 5 dogs, slipped through the fence somehow on their 200-acre property, and they were surrounding this lady and her dog, growling like, oh, they were going to get it, and she was like, she's too old. She tried calling her her daughter and son-in-law on the phone just right across the street. She could see it, but they weren't there. And she was trying to, call and get help because she couldn't hold the dog back and she couldn't beat the dogs off, So out of nowhere, after about the second attack by the dogs where they went and just missed, this blood-curdling scream comes out of the forest, and those dogs freeze for about 5 seconds. They just freeze. They look, and then they're gone, and they're never seen again, ever. They never were seen again, and they were there. I've seen a pack of dogs on my trips out there before, because they just roam up and down the main road out there. Anyway, so. And when the kids finally got home, she told them all about it. She said, well, what the roar and the growl, and there was gibberish going on, chatter. She said, well, if an 800-pound gorilla could talk, I guess that's what it'd sound like. There's old country lady logic, But she heard this gibberish and chatter in between a couple of roars, and so she knew they were talking, Anyway. Fast forward about a year, the dog dies, and they go and bury the dog. They bury it out in the front yard, and that's that picture I sent you was just where they had put the rocks around it. So they buried it, and yeah, now they buried it, and in every other one of those holes, you see the cross out there? Mm-hmm. she just went out and took this picture like a couple of days ago because she couldn't find the one she had. But they had planted carnations in every other hole all around, just to mark the grave. The ones that are like you buy in a little cup, they fit right down. I mean, it's a root ball. They weren't the little cheapies. It was a big one, So anyway, they had it surrounding the whole grave. Next morning, they get out, and each flower has been pulled out of the hole. It is laid right next to where it was. Each flower was taken out, every one all around. There's like a dozen and a half. There's 18 of them. And they were taken out. Root balls were not damaged. The leaves, none of that was eaten or touched. And they called me up and going, "What? Can you tell me why that happened?" I said, "Well, we talked about this a long time ago, when we first met. Sasquatch don't mark their graves." And that's what my chapter in my book is. Sasquatch don't mark their graves, about this story, because they didn't want your dog to get dug up. They don't want their bodies, their Sasquatch bodies, to get dug up. They don't mark their graves. That's why I was talking to you about that, hearing about a boulder that's probably a ton being rolled back over on top of a hole they've dug with a Sasquatch body in it. Who in their right mind is going to go try to move a 1 or 2 ton boulder out in the middle of the boonies? I mean, you just, unless you happen to see it get buried. Mm-hmm. So that was my whole thing, is that they don't mark their graves for this very reason, because they know the value us humans put on a dead Sasquatch body. Now I firmly believe, as many do, the government has them. They know what they are. They've probably taken a bunch of them out, but, they know the value that is put on a Sasquatch body. If they dig one up that will prove their existence, it may change everything. So that's just one of those. And see, if I was not into that stuff and looking into it, it would have just gone by unnoticed. But that's something. It was a perfect example of, we didn't even ask. They just popped the flowers out, and it was like, no, don't mark the grave. We love the dog too. Remember, we saved it from being eaten by the pack of dogs. So we love the dog too, but we don't want you, in their logic. And this is where people say, well, if they were so smart, they wouldn't think that way. Or, if they were just, why would you bury something and put flowers on it? So, well, why would they think that way? Because they are thinking sentient beings. They have a philosophy about burying the dead. And so, you go back into Native American times, so that may be that, they burned them, they had the funeral pyres. I mean, nobody knows. I have not heard any of those stories except from some indigenous tribes up in Canada. And that's like second or third hand stuff. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting way to accentuate the fact that they are keenly aware of what happens if we dig up a Sasquatch body. Everything changes, So, and that's, so that's why we don't find the bodies, and perhaps they do go somewhere else to die, and perhaps the government gets to them first. The government got all the giants for the Smithsonian. So why would, if you hear a Sasquatch being, killed or buried somewhere, well, the government's probably already got the body somewhere, or they've torched it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Even you talk about just regular animal burial rites. There's so many things like funereal practices in the animal kingdom. We know about like crows, we know about elephants, and even like chimpanzees and stuff have distinct ways to mourn and to deal with the dead. I mean, I don't know, like I don't think the chimpanzees do anything aside from mourning. I don't think they bury them or do anything of that nature to hide them, but they come and pay their respects and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you know of any other animals that do bury or hide their dead? Aside from like going off and, like we all know, like when an animal's sick and it knows it's going to die, it's going to go hide somewhere so that it doesn't get killed by a predator or anything. But
some birds perhaps, but really, I think by the time they die and they're found, they're dinner.
Yeah.
Or they're rotted, so there's no use burying it, unless somebody, has like you said, a crow or a bird that comes around the house, or, rabbits or even foxes. They may become attached to the people that live there, and so if they find their fox dead or something like that, I know they probably bury him. But I don't know of any animal that goes out of its way. I don't research that part of it, but because I'm more interested in the human, Sasquatch interaction. But I don't know of an animal that buries its dead.
Well, even when you look at just humans to begin with, I mean, look at all the burial practices and funereal practices that we've had throughout the years and that are practiced around the world. We have a very Western society look at death where you have a funeral and stuff. But one of the most interesting things that I've seen was Josh Gates did like a 4-part series on death and dying in that. And I can't remember where it was, but there was a place, over in the other side of the world, I guess. We'll just leave it at that. I don't remember offhand. But when the family member died, they put them in a room of the house and kept them for like a month. And they would bring them food every day and tell them their daily habits and stuff, even, after they had passed for, I think it was a year, if I remember right. And then at that anniversary, they would take the body and they would put it on this like big beer thing, and they would carry it through town, and they would have this big parade, and then they would take it, and I want to say they take it down and they burned it after that time, but they kept it in their house for an entire year. And it's just really weird. Like, we don't think of that stuff being normal, or, like, who the heck's going to live with a dead body? Oh, it's so taboo and stuff. But we have this very Western society view of death that, even just other humans around the world, their rituals and beliefs of a body and stuff are so much different. Why are we putting Bigfoot in, why couldn't they have a very similar, thing to any of that?
Yeah, well, our Western view is funerals, crematoriums, and selling caskets. So your funeral is 5 to 10 to 20 grand. Over in India, they burn them. Now, somewhere in India, it may be it's a Middle East somewhere. I'm not sure, but there is a society, a tribe, fairly well, modernized, that dig up their relatives and celebrate their death, and they march them to town once a year or once every 5 years. I can't remember the name of it, but it's something they do, and they're dressed, and they bring them food and stuff, and they celebrate them. But if they're embalmed, that's a really good job, because they are obviously wasting away very, very slowly, but they're embalmed in such a way that it looks like a couple of them may have died just, an hour ago, but it's another way of celebrating and keeping them around. I can't imagine the smell, but they have ways of preserving them that we don't use. We don't use, they don't use embalming fluid. They have their herbs and spices and whatever they use. So yeah, it is weird. It's just a weird thing, and everybody wants to celebrate their dead. I miss my mom, miss my dad, grandma, and grandpa, and all that, but Sasquatch aren't any different. They got family. They care about their children, their wives, maybe not in the same way we do, because it's a different style of living, but they mourn them, they love them, they hate them, they punish them. I'm sure, if I think Sasquatch emotional scale is really about the same. You got, some little kids that are just little jerks, and some that are really good in school, and some that are going to be juvenile delinquents, and seeing Alcatraz, so their personalities and their habits try to run the traits with us. It's just different because they're different looking. We don't speak their language. We don't understand, and why they're attracted to one thing or another. But that's just why I got into it, because I just started hearing from people. I've heard a few stories of well, Grandpa and a couple of the hands went down there and they buried something big. They wouldn't tell us what it was. It was a big rock, put on top of it, and then other rocks put on top of that, and now stuff's grown up all over. We don't even know where it is if we wanted to find it. you know. So you hear that, you know, but humans, if they have knowledge of them being buried on their property or have seen it or did it, they don't want them to be found either. They're not sitting there going, well, I could get $3 million for this body if I just dig it up and call the government. Well, they don't want to do that either because they respect them. All my habituation people, they wouldn't, in a heartbeat, would not do anything like that because they respect, they interact with them. You know, they see their kids, their children growing up. You know, they're the little juvenile Sasquatch are growing up into big ones. You know, this one family that had the dog that died, they see them all the time. When they walk up to the mailbox, they usually will see one peeking out from behind a tree and peeking back. One time, this is about 4, 5, 6 years ago, he saw one peek out from behind a tree and had a baby in his hand. It showed him the baby. They're proud parents. They're showing the humans their Sasquatch baby. I mean, who does that? You know, what'd you do this morning? Well, you know, went and got a tune up in the car and changed the oil, and wife got a new hairdo. Yeah, saw Sasquatch at the mailbox this morning. I think it might have had a baby. And that's what's the weird part of my stories is that the people, you know, I'll talk to them every few months. I'll try to stay in touch with everybody as often as they want to stay in touch and just say what's been going on. And they will just flat out tell you, well, we went did this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And we also saw a Sasquatch yesterday as we were driving up to Walmart. Mm-hmm. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. It's such a routine thing for these habituation families to see them or hear them. And sometimes they just forget to tell you. Mm-hmm. They're not even trying to keep it from you. Oh, of course, it could be that they're used to keeping quiet because people make fun of you. But if I call them, you know, everything's, you know, all bets are off. You just tell me what you want. I'm not going to tell anybody. I might put it in the book, but your names are changed and your locations are changed. So that's why it's just so fascinating that this is a whole secret life that many people are living. People you may know somebody that's seen a Sasquatch and just hadn't told you yet, even though they know what you do for a living, you know, because they don't want somebody else to find out and laugh at and make fun of them, you know.
So Pete wants to know, like everybody, where are the photos? You kind of talked about this earlier as well, but where, if they see them every day, you know, where are the photos?
That's part of the respect. You don't take photos. I see you. I don't need to. And Sasquatch don't like cameras. You want to end that relationship? Put cameras up. Try taking pictures. Try telling everybody, look what I saw. Look what I got. That's the thing that bothers a lot of people, and I understand it. You know, I want to know they live. I want a Patterson Gimlin film on steroids so that I know they exist. And even if you have that, people see the Patterson Gimlin film and Paul Freeman. They still don't believe it. Mm-hmm. So what's the point of having a picture? Unless it's on a slab. I mean, so, you know, I get it, but I have pictures I can't show. I have stuff. I could show you something right now and you'd be, I believe, hallelujah. Oh my God. You know, but you just, when you see them or interact with them, you suddenly believe. It'd be like ratting out on your family, on your brother, your sister, your kids. Yeah, they're right over here. Because you want to protect them, you know, because somebody, for the cost of a bullet, will take one out. Well, who wants that? No, the people that interact with them. So there's just a matter of respect. I go visit all my witnesses as often as I can when invited. And I take my equipment, but it stays in the car. I don't pull anything out. Why? Well, because I have researcher written all across my forehead, you know, and I have a Jeep that's got a Sasquatch sticker on it. So what do you think I've got in my car? You know, but I respect everybody's sensibilities. I'm not going to pull in cameras, you know, and when people are afraid of Sasquatch on their property, they find them on the property. What do I do? Put up lights, put up cameras. They'll be gone in a heartbeat. because they don't like any of that. So that's why there's no photos. I'm sure, but I have photos I can't share. I have video I cannot share. I know a lot of people have, Barnaby might have something he can't show. He's been sworn.
I've seen a lot of things.
Yeah. And so, but you don't see anybody showing it, do you?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I've seen things that people have brought me at conventions and they'll show me on their phone.
Yeah. I never share anything electronically. Yeah. And if you had doubts, you probably don't anymore once you saw some of those, I've got, like I said, every researcher worth his salt has something or multiple somethings stashed away. But a picture, somebody, and that's why all my books, all the locations are falsified, all the names, because it doesn't matter where, doesn't matter who, it just matters that this happened. I may say the same state, but I won't say, I'll just say down in, Louisiana, 16 years ago. But nobody needs to know any more specifics, because that's what witnesses are afraid of, is people driving by with a car full of guns, shooting wildly into the woods. Hey, there's a Sasquatch. Or is that a kid? You don't know. So and this is why people don't want it. And it took a while for me to get people to trust me that I wasn't going to rat them out. Well, that's not what I'm here for. I know. And, when I did, I was doing reports for BFRO, they started taking stuff out of it. Well, that's when I quit doing reports, because they're falsifying their data, because you tell it like it is. And they go, well, that shows intelligence. We got to take that out. The stupid thing is, you turn in a report, they take the good stuff out, and they publish it anyway. What do you think that witness is going to say when he sees that, or she sees that, and goes, that's not what I told you? And that's exactly what happened to me. Well, I started writing these books, 2020. I had just had a guy, I did a report and got published to BFRO. And he started working for a really big podcast. And he called me one day and said, what the heck is going on? That's one of his exact words, but, and I hadn't seen the report yet. I knew it was published, but I make copies of the reports before I talk to the witness, just the raw data. And then I make a report that I turn into BFRO with all the thing cleaned up, cleared up. We got everything, nice report, but they will take stuff out, then they'll publish it anyway. How stupid is that? You don't think anyone's going to notice? And they're removing things that show intellect or paranormal or quantum. So, the database is falsified. It's you can't hang your hat on it. You don't know what reports are coming in that nobody ever sees. I guarantee you there are reports that nobody ever sees. I used to see them. And they're still there, but no one's ever going to see them. And that's not fair. That's not a true evaluation of what's really going on for the entire country. And BFRO has the biggest database in the world, so the world is living off that database, and it's erroneous. So anyway, but when I started talking to these people, they just started opening up, and they would call me back. So, well, I didn't tell you this because I was afraid. I didn't know if you were going to be one of these weirdos that's going to, rat me out, make fun of me, and put me on put my name and face on. So, and they started calling me, and also the guys, the manly macho hunters. I've been in these woods 35 years. If there's something like that in here, I'd have seen it. I ain't seen it, so it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, if they can, cloak themselves, you're not going to see him anyway. You might be sitting right next to one. He might be pulling, pieces of mushrooms out of your salad and eating it while you're sitting there. You don't even know it. So, but you get those calls, and those guys are really kind of embarrassed to admit it. But, the few that did call back, they said, okay, man, I got to tell you, I just saw something. I can't explain it, and they're affected, they're like, I can't even wrap my head. You got to tell me what's going on. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I can't tell you exactly. It's scientifically above my pay grade to explain it in words you'd understand. Well, it just disappeared. Well, no, you got to be more thorough than that. But people, they started coming back, and after they told me their story, and they were telling me more stories. And then the daughter or the son would see and say, why don't you call this guy back? Because what about that one you told us you was living in the barn? Oh, I can't tell him that. He believed everything else you told him. Why don't you talk about the one that was living in the barn for 6 years? Yeah. And so that's where all my data comes from. It's just really awesome that people feel comfortable. I'm really flattered, but I'm protecting them and these beings to some degree, because there are people, there's pro-kill groups, that, that will kill one just like that, because I'm going to make me some money and retire.
So these people that are, having them on their property, they've gotten familiar with them. They've seen them on, a regular basis and stuff. And you go out to these properties, and granted that you're not there every day, you're not as, habituated as the family that's living there. But when you've gone out to these properties, all the ones that you've gone to, have you ever seen one on the property?
No, not on the property. I've seen the pictures and stuff that they send me. And I think the reason, because we did all our sitting around at night, I've interacted with one at night, sitting on the porch with them. But I've never seen one, and I don't really have to. Now, I've seen dark shadows running back and forth, but that could be Dogman, Sasquatch. It could be, a bear. I mean, I don't know when you're seeing stuff that's shadows moving within shadows. I don't know. I've interacted with one, and they send me photos. Now, the one I was telling you about were the baby. They stepped out from behind the tree holding the baby. That was probably earlier this year. They sent me a couple of shots from a trail cam, and what you see is the sun is coming up. I know exactly where this is on their property. I've spent the night in this pasture many times, and you can see the sun coming up. So there's a Sasquatch, and it's backlit, so all you see is just a general silhouette, and then in front of it, even darker, harder to see, is a juvenile, and they are posing in front of the camera for my witnesses to see. This is our boy, or this is our child growing up. We used to show him to you, and now look at it. They're not saying that, but I mean, that is what they're doing, because they're just like, they're standing in front of the camera, like, and they know it's taking a picture, and the juvenile is in front of them, and if I send it to you, you go, I can't see anything, but you lighten it up, play with the contrast, you'll see, it's still murky, but it is what it is. And when they tell me, these people are God-fearing Christians, they don't want anything, they're all anonymous, blah blah blah, and they just want to tell. I said, God, what is going on? They've seen UFOs, orbs, many people. They call him by name. The one that I was sitting there interacting with called me by my name in my voice. Then it used its voice. Kata, kata, kata. This is what they do for grins. They'll get, cooler full of beer, some popcorn, candy, sit on the front porch, and there's about 25 feet from the porch to the garage, and right past the garage, the carport, is the road, and just on the other side of that road is a bunch of deep woods. And every now and then they will gather on the porch, sit there, drink beer, talk, throw rocks and twigs. They start throwing rocks and twigs back. You can hear them walk into the area in the forest. They sit by this one big clump of trees that's low, and you can hear them, grunting and moving around, snorting, and they're watching us stupid humans, like we watch them in a zoo. although it's them watching us, watching them, and they start throwing little pebbles and rocks. And that's something they really like to do on this property. Really ticks my people off because he's very meticulous with his yard. So he hates finding these rocks in his yard because he has to go out. You got a 3-acre front yard. I don't want to go around here picking up rocks for 2 hours while I try to, So, but they called my name, and I called them back, and I did a howl, and they did the exact howl in my exact voice back. Is that just a dumb animal? No. I mean, they call my name. Then they, hi, I'm Carter. Carter. I'm sitting there going, is there a gummy in this popcorn? What the hell? What's going on here? Because I'm sitting here, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And they talk to them about me, and they know what I am and why I'm there and all that. But I don't bring out my equipment. And if you ask any researcher worth his salt how to get rid of Sasquatches, I get those calls all the time. They're banging on the house, they're trying to get in. They killed my peacocks, they killed my dog and stuff. I said, we'll put up cameras and lights, motion lights. They won't come anywhere near the house. They don't want that. So, but it's just, and other people, they hear their names called by their spouses who are not there out of the woods, because the Sasquatch jack with them. When the hubby goes off to work or the wife goes off to work, they'll call the spouse that's left at home in their name, in their husband or wife's name. They'll call them so it sounds like them calling them. Husband or wife calls back to the husband or wife that's gone and says, what are you doing? Are you here? You're supposed to be at work. Are you jacking with me? I just heard you call my name. What's going on? What are you talking about? I'm at work. Look, here's my job. Look, I'm at work. What are you talking about? It's it's little females, little males, little juveniles, but they call them by their spouses who are gone at work. They call them in their voice. It just to mess with them. And really, it works, because what does it do? It gets them out of the house. They find out where they're at in the house, find out if they are actually there. It's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. I take that back. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just incredibly interesting. It's just, they're messing with you, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Well, let me ask you this. So we all know the stories, just because you're out in the woods looking for Bigfoot and you see like a UFO come down, that doesn't mean that, the Bigfoot and the UFO are connected. Right. So what, and I don't mean any disrespect or anything. I'm asking, why do you think that these stories of the things disappearing, the things that you've seen or other people have seen, are Bigfoot, like the thermal? And how do you know that it's a Bigfoot that's making these vocalizations and not some other creature in the woods? Now, I mean, that puts a big what if on what is making it if it's not a Bigfoot. Yeah. But just, we're talking about what ifs and, all these questions that we get asked. So,
Well, when I hear my voice and these people are telling me, it could be a dog man if they are known to speak, a mothman, slender man. There are all kinds of cryptids and earth beings that, fairies and what have you, that are purported to exist. But I don't know if they speak. I've never heard those, Now, I don't know that being that I was interacting with was a Sasquatch. As far as they're concerned, it is, because that's all they see on their property. And so, and I've seen a lot of weird things moving around in the woods at night, big dark shapes, but I don't know. I assume they're Sasquatch. But now, and we're in weird times right now. The world is changing. We're going to have some revelations that nobody's ready for, probably here coming up pretty soon. So, but I don't know that. I believe it because I don't have any other frame of reference. I don't think it's Billy Bob going out there. Okay, now Carter, after we open that third beer and you hear that pop top go, whoosh, I want you to go, hey Carter. I don't think anybody's that sophisticated and go to that much trouble to fool this old fart, you know. But you know, it's a good question, and I'm not taken aback by it at all. I mean, it's worth asking, worth answering honestly, because we don't know, you know, what they are. You know, the question you have to ask yourself: who's going to stand around the woods waiting for a cue to say something? Yeah. And what if I don't show up? Well, I've got a guy coming over here. I want you to just, I'll honk the horn 3 times. And when you hear that, wait 10 minutes and do something. You know, nobody goes to that kind of trouble unless it's somebody you know and it's a prank that you're going to tell them it's a prank and it maybe has nothing to do with Sasquatch, you know. But that kind of stuff, you know, you just think of the logistics of doing that and waiting for the right time and, you know, hoaxing. Well, you want to, if you're going to hoax somebody, you want to see the effect. You know, you go make structures, or you make howls and weird, or you leave a weird body laying out, or footprints, and you know, you're not there to see the effect of your joke while you're doing it. You know, well, they have to have freaked out when they saw that. That was pretty funny. You know.
Especially when they don't want their name, location, and stuff published. You're going through all this work to hoax something for somebody that, you know, is never gonna. You're getting nothing out of it.
Yeah. It's pointless. I mean, I'm a practical joker. I was a comic for a few years, and it's like I want to be there. I want the audience to react and tell me if I'm just hilarious or I suck, or in between. I want to know that. I want to see the people go, "Oh my God, you see this TP structure? Oh my God, it must be you, Sasquatch." If you're not there to see it, it's worthless. You know. So, but you know, asking if that is a Sasquatch is a good question. You know, they can mimic anything. So maybe who they is up for debate. Aliens. You know, we hear our names here at my house. I have this document called Strangeness in Our Home. Since I wrote these books, all kinds of weird stuff has happened at our house. And we've heard our names. My wife has heard my name. I've heard her name. She's heard, you know, the other 3 or 4 nights ago, she got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get a drink of water. She thought I was in the living room talking to her. And I was still in bed, sound asleep. I had no idea she was up. But she heard me talking to her. She couldn't remember what I said. It was like I asked her a question, then I said, never mind. So we hear that stuff. Now, she was certain it was me, but it wasn't. Who was it? Don't know. You know, but she heard it. I've heard her voice. I've heard knocks on the door. We both heard knocks on the door when there's nobody else here. Well, we close the bedroom door, keep the cats out or whatever. So what do you do with it? It's a good question. You can just keep asking, and you can just keep not answering because you really don't know. But at some point, you got to take a step out and go, well, I'm going to go out on a limb here and go, that's a Sasquatch. You know, but that's not to mention that other beings, features, spirits can't answer, can't talk, can't communicate, and they have senses of humor. Maybe they're just messing with you too. You know, they know your name is Carter, so they're going to call your name out. But other than that, they don't know anything about you, and they just kind of mess with you. You know, we'll never know until we know. I mean, that kind of stuff we won't know. You know, I'm convinced of certain things by my experiences, and I don't care what anybody else thinks. You know, I try not to, you know, embarrass myself too bad by saying, you know, I saw a Sasquatch wearing a clown outfit, and I've taken it.
So that's creepy right there, because while you were saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, I've seen a lot of things as well. And one of the things that I was just thinking about is the time I was out Bigfooting and I saw a clown in the woods.
I've had a report.
That was the analogy that you brought up. So yeah. I've talked about it on past shows and stuff. We won't get into it now, but I was out in the woods walking, and there was a 6-foot clown standing right next to me.
Yeah. No, I've got a Native American friend. He's in Oklahoma, Mike Parton, and he's got his own Sasquatch investigation thing going on there. But he doesn't do podcasts or anything stuff. He sent me a couple of reports that were taken locally of people seeing Sasquatch in a clown outfit, or some spirit or something wearing a clown outfit, giant size clown outfit. A Native American lady went out to see what her dog was barking out, looked out the back of her trailer on an acreage, and there was a Sasquatch at the corner of her mobile home. And the dog was tied to the tree, and it was barking at it, going berserk, And I took another report. A lady was at a stoplight, or she pulled up to a stoplight, and there's a car just bouncing around, and she looks over there, and there's a guy in there screaming bloody murder. He's trying to get out, and he can't open his doors. He's trying to roll down he's just panicking. He's just going bonkers. And a clown walks across the light they had stopped for and walks off into the woods. She swore it was a Sasquatch. He had seen it before she got there and was panicking. And when she finally left, when the light turned, she left, and he was still sitting there freaking out, screaming bloody murder. He could not move, or he was possessed or something. It was weird. Those you kind of go, I don't know. Where do you get your gummies? But they're seen by the Native American. Maybe they're skinwalkers, shapeshifters. I mean, you don't know, because they have their own belief system that's based in thousands of years of the Native Americans living on this land before we even got here, and what we did, So that's in their belief system. It may be exaggerated, but you mentioned a clown. I just mentioned two clowns. So is this something they do to distract you from what you're seeing? Or have they seen a clown and they thought, well, this is the way I'll look, so they won't notice me. I'll be an 8-foot tall clown walking across a busy intersection in Kansas City, Kansas, broad daylight. And they won't notice me because I look like everybody else, because everybody apparently they got clowns everywhere. So, I mean, you don't know what the logic is in looking like a clown. I mean,
do you ever watch Doctor Who?
No, I never did. Never got into it.
Well, for anybody out there that does watch Doctor Who and stuff, there's this episode, and it's my absolute favorite episode. It's a Peter Capaldi episode of the Doctor, and it's called Listen. And the premise of the episode is what would something do if you couldn't see it? Right. So like if we've all had these dreams where we wake up in the middle of the night and the room doesn't feel right and there's something there. And the whole thing is he goes looking for this, what's in the dark, and what would it do? It would listen. That's the premise of the episode. But it got me thinking is, there are so many tropes out there. Like everyone is afraid of, you run up the basement stairs because there's something chasing you. There's something under your bed. There's something in the closet. We're afraid of clowns, right? Where are these tropes coming from? Somewhere in our little reptilian hindbrain, are these things real? And we know that they're out there, and there's a reason why we're afraid of it.
Well, my wife and her daughter are mortified of clowns. Her kids especially. They will run screaming into the night, butt naked, if they see a clown. I mean, they just, why? And that's a subliminal effect of clowns for a lot of people.
Why?
What's the name of the clown that does all those shows? And it's Jingles the Clown, or the one that's got the little smile that goes way up here. It was like in one of the last horror movies. It's the one that's sitting in they picture it sitting in a sewer. It says free puppies.
Pennywise?
Pennywise. That's it. Yeah. So they adapt a look that, if they are shapeshifters or otherwise, they can adapt a shape, features that we're familiar with and mortified of, and make sure that that's what they look like, so you won't try to interact with them. I don't know. It is just a bizarre premise. And where do you stop drawing the line and say, I've got to consider almost everything before I make a decision. I'm not going to just blindly say, oh, that can't be, because I was in that crowd for a while, and that can't be doesn't explain much. If you start opening your mind to stuff, then other people keep seeing all this stuff, So a lot of these people here are talking about, indeed, they don't allow pictures. No pictures. No, I mean that's just, if you live with them long enough, they just, they don't want. If you want that activity to stop, take pictures, put up cameras, put up motion lights. You will, all your activity will stop.
AAO says, hey, hi Carter. When I was 8 years old, I had experience with a family of Sasquatches, and I watched them call for help, and an ET came down and helped them with their injured baby. I just wanted to tell you, 1984.
Cool. Well, I have multiple stories of my witnesses having seen a Sasquatch right before or right after a UFO event on their property, or saw a UFO right after a Sasquatch event. I mean, they seem to be. And I did a show. You familiar with the Pork and Beans show out of Canada? The guy there, Michael Harrell, when he was in college, he's one of the podcasters. He did a study of abductees. You had to be awake from the time you were taken to the time you got up to the craft, all during the time on the craft, and all the way back down. You had to be awake and aware the entire time. They asked thousands of abductees all over the world. I'm talking Finland, China, Hillbilly Holler, whatever. If you were abducted, what did you see on the craft, human-wise or entity-wise, that looked like they belonged there and they weren't abductees? The Greys, obviously, the tall Nordics, the tall Greys, the tall Whites, Sasquatch in the top 5. The Sasquatch were not abducted. They were not running studies on them. They were walking around like they were part of the process. I sent you that other document on the Battle Mountain Fire. I'll have to send you this list of commonalities. It's fascinating. It has a list of not only the types of beings that were seen, but the event that they were in when they saw the creature, whether they were having things done to them. Like, I was being tested for hybridization when I was taken. So that's what they were doing to me. So, but it's just fascinating. So we cannot say, I mean, you can say it, but to have an open mind and not be blindsided by things, you got to consider that some of these bizarre things can happen. We just don't know. The government's already admitted UFOs. Yeah, well, we lied to you for about 100 years, but yeah, so there's UFOs and they come and go. We didn't build them. We don't know where they came from. So we found we've been lying to you all these years. It's gonna be the same with Sasquatch, and there's a reason they don't want us to know about them, because it's not like it's going to change biblical history. It's going to show that these are intelligent, sentient, sapient beings that can reason and think and act just like we can. And we're going to find that out, and the government already knows that. And I don't think they want us knowing that and other things. That's why they lied about UFOs until the technology came along, finally, with the cameras, and everybody has camera phones and all that. Well, we can't argue with this anymore. Everyone's got a camera. So, okay. So, but now we got the Tic Tac videos, and 3 or 4 years later, they haven't given us anything else. Just, theories. Well, it's going to be the same with Sasquatch. They can't lie and hide it forever. I've got stories now. People telling me about, forestry workers being threatened. You say a word, your pension's gone, and you might be gone too. You just don't talk about this. Period. You see you'll never work in this town again, and your pension may disappear. You shut up. You say nothing. This didn't happen. Well, everybody and their mother's telling those stories. It's because that's what's happening.
You think it's a conspiracy or something that these threats happen, but it's very easy for the government to ruin your life and make it out like you're crazy, or you embezzled or something, and look, here's the proof. And it's little things. It doesn't have to be this huge thing to ruin somebody's life. It can be a very little thing and just shuts you down, and you lose your family, you lose your job, you lose your house, you lose everything. It's all about money, and it's really quick to take somebody down that way.
Yeah, you can be labeled a spy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
spying for the Russians. Oh, you're done. So yeah, but it's just a fascinating thing. And the more I'm in this, the more I'm hearing things, and the more things that I'm hearing that used to be like, boy, I don't know. It's like, man, that's right on. That's exactly what's happening. This just happened here. My partner was visited by Men in Black when we did a Sasquatch town hall meeting here in Independence, Missouri, about 10 years ago or so. He said he had two guys in suits, white shirts, black ties, acted very strange, went to the door, was asking about Sasquatch, and they're dangerous. You really don't want to play with them. They're very dangerous. And then he went to get something. He was cooking something, went back. Yeah, I'll be right back. And they were gone. He came back to the door. They were gone. You couldn't even see where they were. There's no car. They weren't gone long enough to have disappeared, but they were gone. So, Men in Black, everything, we're just puppets. Us humans, we're just puppets. If we're fortunate enough to have an open mind, fortunate enough to be at the right place at the right time to see certain things that change your view of the world. But if not, you're just one of the people that go do your job every day, and you're not worried about that, not interested in it. And you just go, oh, that stuff just zooms by you. But if you're curious at all, and something goes, that doesn't make sense. That's baloney. That doesn't make sense. How'd they do that? You start looking into it. You go, okay, well, somebody's lying to me. And then you start talking to other people. And so that's how we're going to open this thing up, when everybody and their mother is tired of being lied to. And I think it's coming. Don't know what it is. There's going to be some revelation, probably UFOs, but we don't know.
We have a lot of comments and stuff over here, but if you guys have an actual question directed towards Carter, throw it in there and we will get it in here. We're running over here. I don't want to take up too much time of Carter here, but amazing discussion. I'm absolutely loving this. So let's see, going back to the story of asking for help. He does not say, Octopus wanted to know here, how did they call for help? Let's see if we can get an answer to that in the comments here. But then he says there was 8 ETs in total, and the family of Sasquatch had 3 adults and a baby. Forbidden Planet says, you hear stories of how UFOs, or how to stop UFOs. All you have to do is pray to Jesus and he will save you. And then they ask, why does the name of Jesus matter? I've always wondered that too. And the thought that I had was, I don't think it matters what name you use, but it's all about intent. And if you believe that, Jesus is this all powerful being, if God or Buddha or whatever, a rock that you're holding in your hand is this most powerful thing that'll protect you, it has that effect. Carter, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, here's a question for the question or the statement. How many people, Forbidden Planet or anybody that's had experience, octopus or anybody, how many people have you told about your Sasquatch or UFO or paranormal events?
Without
outside?
hiding by a surname on the internet, let's say.
Yeah. How many people have you told about that? Like coworkers or people that you just don't even hardly know. You just bring it up. Probably not a lot.
Here we go. They called for help with energy outside their bodies, like astral projection. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is how many people, friends, coworkers, husband, wife, spouse,
One
whatever.
researcher, 4 family members, and a couple of friends.
And have any of them given you crap? Mocked you? What I'm getting at, you're going to keep it real close and tight. You're not going to.
No one mocked them. There you go.
Yeah, well, they're close friends and family. But if you start talking to coworkers and friends at a party, yeah, Bob saw a Sasquatch. Let's have him over to the Christmas party. Let's give him some crap. I mean, that happens. So you're going to keep it close and tight with your close circle of friends, and you're not going to venture out, in the time that you do. So if you've seen things, you need to find somebody you can trust. If you want to get it off your chest and get some ideas, you can email me, like Barnaby said, or anybody else in my line of work that you know and trust. Ask around, But if you've got some things that are eating at you and you want some answers, get a hold of somebody and just make sure they don't use your name and Yeah, see, you drove to the sheriff's office and said, "Nah, I can't do it," because you're going to be labeled a nut. And if you get labeled a nut by the sheriff or the mayor or something, first weird stuff that happens, they're going to look at you. So it's sad that us humans, we destroy and mock things we do not understand. That's human nature. That's really sad. I'm talking about racial, politics, anything. We don't like it, we'll burn it, with a few exceptions.
Afraid of it. Don't understand it. We're afraid of the things that we don't understand.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Very good questions here.
My son talks to them via telepathy, so we have few conduits to talk. So we have fewer conduits to talk.
Yeah. See, that's what they do to me. They'll send me little messages. Mostly they send me pictures in my mind, and then I ask questions, about what is that? Where is that? And they'll say, well, this is our home, and that's all they got to tell me. It's home. Okay. Well, it looks very familiar to my place in Missouri, but it might be the one that was in Illinois, 2019 too. I can't really tell. So, but it's just, this stuff just keeps going on. It's look at all the people that have had experiences or are believers, if nothing else, and look at.
You hear this a lot too. They leave them feathers on inside of your car. Okay. We've had some experiences with feathers and stuff as well, that they keep showing up certain places right in the middle of the trail where we've walked and that. So, but I haven't heard inside a car. That's interesting. Yeah.
No, I've got a lot of people that have gifting in the house. My lady I was telling you about, I know are you running over? You need to get going.
We are, but there's nothing after me. So if you're good.
I'm just going to, when you say in the house, I'm going to find the fingerprints.
Oh, yeah.
That were put on the inside of. Oh, here we go. Yeah. She just built a house, and her husband just built a house, and she's a very anal. She's a retired scientist, geologist. And so she went and cleaned the whole house. And then she sat down in her viewing room, her front room, where she could look out into the woods, because this is where the Sasquatch, they stand by this clump of trees and look into the house from this spot. So she likes to sit there and drink a beer and just sit there and wave. And, they're 30, 40 yards away. But she was looking to the window. She's going, good dang it, who put fingerprints all over? I just cleaned this freaking house. She cleaned the whole outside. Well, the prints are on the inside of the house. Look at the hair on that. And that little white blob at the tip is her flash on her phone. Look at the hair. And the dermal ridges, they're all over. So it's little things like that, they leave things in the house, including fingerprints. Really, pissed her off because I just cleaned this house. Well, you didn't clean the inside, so you're bad.
You missed the spot. You missed the spot.
Missed the spot. Yeah.
we have a question for you here. So
Yep.
I'm sure Carter knows of Janice Carter. Just wondering what your thoughts of her.
True as heck. I love that book. I've got one of the books. I've got it. It was signed by Mary Green, actually, the author. I've got that book. You can't find them now. They're hard to find. No, that is one of the best documented, and they're just simple folks. Not an insult. I don't think they're sophisticated enough to fake all of it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's coming from the heart and it's coming from the soul, and they lived in the basement. And I mean, no, that's a great book. I think that's really overlooked. I think when it came out, people were skeptical of it for sure. I understand. Wasn't a lot of work like that being done. But that's a great book. I have it. And I'm going to have to leave it to somebody really good when I pass away, because it's going to be worth some money. Better make sure I like it a lot.
Awesome. Carter, you're absolutely amazing. Wealth of knowledge. Such a high quality conversation we've had today. I really appreciate
that. Appreciate it. Same to you, man. I mean, it takes an open mind to be able to have conversations, So, my favorite saying, and then I'll let you go. Considering is not believing. Just consider things that we've talked about that you find to be way out there. Just consider them. Don't tell anybody you're considering it. Your secret is safe. No one will think you're weird. But just consider it. And if you still cannot wrap your head around it, so be it. There's nothing wrong. But this stuff is going on. And if you're just an ape only, you're missing a lot of stuff. Or just adamantly refuse. And if it's just not interesting for you, well, so be it. That's so cool. But there's something going on here, and there's something really, really going on beneath the surface of all these interactions. So
absolutely.
They're talking to each other. They're listening to the Sasquatch chatter back and forth with each other. I mean, who does that? I mean, you go, you get the Chinaman chatter there, and it's like, and I've used that before. I guarantee you, the woods went berserk one night. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I was just getting frustrated because they were watching us and they weren't letting us know they were there. I knew they were there, but they weren't making any noise. They'd be real quiet. They were being stealthy. So I did my old Ron Moorhead Chinaman chatter stuff, and got some action.
Wonder what would happen. We just keep going. This is now a 5-hour episode. I wonder what would happen. People play different things out in the woods. I've heard lately, singing bowls and whale sounds and all kinds of stuff. What would happen if you took an old recording of, or not an old recording, just a Japanese or actual, samurai people talking? What would happen if you played that out there and could translate it, right? So if you played hello, are you out there, in what is that, Japanese or samurai?
Yeah, Chinaman chatter, Chinese, Japanese.
Yeah, whatever
Mandarin.
dialect it is. I'm not politically correct. I apologize to anybody that is listening. But if you took those different dialects and knew what they were saying, okay, and then played it into the woods where you thought that you had these beings, and then could we have such good Google technology that instant translates and everything. See what comes back and see if they'll answer you. I know Native Americans have talked about being able to talk in their own language and stuff, and these have full conversations with these beings. So maybe there's something to that. Somebody needs to try that.
What about the ones that are endemic to a specific country, like Thailand or Vietnam, when they have the rock apes and they have the orang pendek and all the other versions? Well, they're multilingual. They know what they're saying when they hear the Taiwanese people speak. I mean, they know. I'm of the opinion, and many people agree, is that they are multilingual. They can understand anything, because maybe they can read your mind. Maybe they can feel your mind puts out a thought with the words. We're not even aware of it, but they are. You know, I mean, you can't put a lid on almost anything until we absolutely know. You know, so
Well, it's like I've had, you know, like you were on my other show, the Paranormal Spectrum, and that I've had mediums and stuff come on and say, you know, it doesn't matter what language they speak when you've passed on and you're speaking, you know, to the other world and, you know, mentally and stuff. It's all one language.
yeah,
You might hear it in whatever language it is, but your brain, your conscious, your soul, whatever is translating it for you. So
Yeah.
who knows what language they're speaking verbally, but when you hear it, you know, telepathy or whatever, it's your language, you know. That's
yeah. It's just so fascinating. It keeps me up at night sometimes. You know, you know, like these people just called me this week. You know, with Ferry in the dinosaur sighting. That was the dimorphodon that one of my witnesses. And dimorphodon is a real. She said, I saw a dragon. And she looked it up. She was looking up pictures, and it's a dimorphodon. And she said, "That's what I saw."
the thing with the big sail on its back.
No, it's like a pterodactyl, but it has more of a
Yeah.
it has more of a T-Rex type head. It's
Yeah.
not a real long beak. It's like a big T-Rex head, but it's got the wings. It's got the little 3 fingers on top of the wing joint, and then it's got 2 claws at the bottom of the wing joint, so it can grab.
Yep.
From up or down.
Was that
And
in
a
like
long
New
tail
Mexico
with the
by
thing on
chance?
the end? Huh?
Was that out in New Mexico by chance?
No, this was Tennessee. She just called me a couple of days ago.
I've heard stories of them out in New Mexico area, Arizona.
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy out there too. Especially the Mongolian Ridge is really a very spiritual place. Native American, Sasquatch, all that. Mongolian Ridge. It's Mogollon, I think, in Arizona. Mongolian Ridge. Travis Walton lives out there.
Hmm.
He's the one that made me write my abduction book. He said, "What are you waiting for? Get off your ass and write the book." I don't know. You're being kind of subtle, Travis. Tell me more. What are you trying to say? You know, I said, well, you know, don't be afraid. So, okay, I'll quit talking. We're done.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I want to hear more. I have other questions, so we're going to have you back. I think everyone in the comments appreciated you on as well, and I think it's been a really great show, and I'd love to have you back again because I think
I love to have this really intelligent conversation and not a lot of, you know, baloney going back and forth. You know, just an open mind about everything. You know, so you know. No, I'd love to come back just, you know, whenever, you know, just, you know, y'all, if y'all are interested in buying the books, you know, get kind of doing a sale for Christmas time. It's, you know, the books are, I'll sell all 4 of the Sasquatch books for $75, and that includes shipping. That's like getting one of them free, really. They're about $22 to $25 each, but they're full color, nice paper, and autographed. Of course, the autograph brings the value down, but I can't help it. I got to sign my books.
Some guy wrote in this book. I don't know.
Yeah, now it's worth about $3. What do I pay? What is this cat or Buschardt? Who the hell is this guy?
So where can people get your books? Where can people get
You can email me at sqexplorer@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook. Or my website, which is sqexplorer.com.
Awesome. That is in the show notes. I'm going to copy it right now and throw it into the chat as well for anybody that's interested here on YouTube and on our streaming services.
Yeah.
So, but same SQ Explorer is the same as the email. So if you guys just copy that and it's right there for you. So, in the show notes and in the what is that chat over there? So
yeah.
Awesome.
Contact me whenever you want. I'll talk about if you got a question you want to know, you know, something you want to run by me, you know, your identity and location. Always safe. Like I said, none of that's important. I'm not going to ruin what you have going on to, you know, because nobody cares. I mean, some people care about that. They get insulted. I don't care. You know, you don't need to know where these people live, and there's kids and animals and people involved. You don't give that stuff out. Doesn't matter. It's just that it's happening. Most people that call me or contact me are having the weird stuff, and they're just waiting to hear that somebody else is crazy like they are, and they're all like, "Oh boy, I got someone to talk to."
Absolutely. All right, man. You take care. It's been a blast, and I will talk to you again.
I'll share this. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Hey, Barnaby.
You take care.
Okay, man.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. It has been an absolute blast. I mean, Carter's amazing. So much stuff to talk about. Definitely going to have him back on because I have more questions. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let me know. Shoot me an email or something, wisconsincaps@gmail.com. Tell me everything you want. And if there's somebody you want on my show, somebody that hasn't been on my show that you want to hear from, shoot me a message as well. Love to hear about that. You can post over on my Facebook page. We have a page just for Monsters on the Edge with Barnaby Jones. You can look that up on Facebook. You can message me on Wisconsin Caps. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want to see, who you want to see, all that stuff. Until next time, guys, remember, remember nothing. This is the wrong show. Until next time, guys, I'll see you on the edge.